I know it comes across, Cam, like I despise you and just think you're the worst thing on the planet. I don't. But I do know what talent, which God gave you in great abundance, and then the world gave you money in great abundance. And all that talent and all that money can blind you. Cam this morning released his, I think it's 4th and 1 podcast, he calls it. And at the end of it, after about 30 minutes, he gets to the conclusion where he talks about that 7-on-7 fight that he was involved in. You guys remember earlier this week, I think it was on Sunday. Video came out, I think, Sunday night. Cam was involved in a little bit of a brawl in Atlanta, 7-on-7 for kids. Cam today spoke and cleared the air. And again, if you remember, I was critical because a lot of people spent a lot of time demonizing kids and, oh, these kids are ungrateful and how could these kids show Cam this disrespect? And I said at that time, I was like, I don't think these are kids. These are former coaching friends of Cam, and these are grown men that attack Cam, not kids. And I said that more than likely Cam was involved and was talking trash, as he's prone to do, and that he needs to understand that as a leader, he's going to be held to a different standard, and he needs to conduct himself as a leader. And so I listened to this morning. I hopped in the chat during Cam's live stream of it and chatted at him or whatever. And at one point he chatted back and said that, he would have banned me a long time ago, but he wanted me to hear what he was saying today. And I have to say, for the most part, I was impressed with what Cam had to say. He took a lot of responsibility for what happened here and said a lot of the right things. We'll start, I believe, with SOT 4, where he talked about how his emotions got the best of him.
What they say, don't make a rational judgment in the heat of the moment. And there's times where that wasn't even the worst that I've been through. You see what I'm saying? Like, I've rendered my time, and people think, like, why is Cam doing this? It's like, no, I cannot. I owe a due diligence. I owe a service to the kids to say, like, hey, if I see Cam, this is my opportunity to touch him, to talk to him, to laugh with him, to, compete with him. Yeah. This is the only time that they may see somebody. So dare I say I'm not going to ever do it again, but I just let that situation escalate in a way that I didn't. So it didn't need to happen. First off, I went rogue, Pay.
Not rogue.
I scrambled, and I should have just stayed in the pocket, bro. You feel me? But this is what I really want the narrative to be. To every single high school player, to every single person of influence, to every single athlete, use my situation as a way to understand that in one moment, in one decision, your life can change. Just like that. And I let my emotions get the best of me. And it should not have been called for.
I want to play, I think, SOT 7, where Cam says he doesn't give back to be seen. There were some good elements of what Cam did here, and I have to applaud him. He took a lot of responsibility and said a lot of things that I really agreed with. Let's play SOT 7.
My heart goes out to everybody who played a role and supported me through and through. But we got to be better, and it starts with me. My heart goes out to my family. My heart goes out to everybody. I can't apologize. I don't apologize enough. I just know, bro, my heart is still in a place to still give, and not give to be seen, give to have the impact. Because how I get fulfilled in it is when somebody comes to me that's in the league, out of the league, have a family now. I wouldn't be in this position if it weren't for Cam Newton and the C1 organization. Bro, you was my father figure. You was my big brother. You was the dude that I looked up to. I seen how you came to practice, and I seen you proved to me that I didn't need to sell drugs to get a Urus. You proved to me like I didn't need to rob nobody to get a Wraith. I seen all that. Like, Coach, you empowered me. And that's all I want to keep doing is to empowering the next generation.
So before he got to the apology at the end, probably the last 20 minutes of his video, he did some other things on the 4th and 1 podcast that I'm not sure if he knew were related to what he was saying at the end, but maybe he did. But it was interesting to me. I want to play. He talked about mostly good-naturedly or all good-naturedly about this. There's this little 4, 5, 6-year-old boy that is coaching a basketball team. It looks like of older kids. And Cam's takeaway was like, if you look at the mannerisms of this little kid pretending to be a coach, it speaks to how kids pay attention and they see everything. I believe it's SOT number 5. Let's play that.
This just goes to show you that your kids see everything. For that right there, I think we are living in a day and age that impact still comes in many shapes, forms, and sizes, you know. And I think for whoever that young man or little kid is watching and looking up to, don't change. Me growing up in the church, you would always see like all these child preachers and all this and that, and even coaches. I seen even a little kid referee. You know, it's crazy. It's admirable to just see where the expansion of the prodigy child, how it looks now.
Yeah.
So that's Cam acknowledging that kids see everything and that they mimic what they see. And that's probably what led him to be more humble in his apology, because he recognized, like, man, kids are going to see this video and I'm looking kind of wild and foolish here. I regret that. And then I want to play one last shot where Cam is talking about coaches as father figures in single-parent homes. Play the shot.
It's sad to say, but if we just being honest, a lot of our kids are being raised in single-parent households. So our coaches serve as father figures to these kids. Our coaches serve as male positive role models for these kids. The truth of the matter is this. Me being in my position, I should have never put myself in that position. That's just the truth. Because even then, it's like, that shit could have got ugly. Like, for real. It could have. And that's why I'm trying to bring the seriousness to this situation. Like, we can laugh about it. We can play, and I will always try to bring humor into something that's lighthearted, but this is a serious situation that I even seen a clip that said, like, yo, like, people are laughing, but they weren't laughing about Nipsey.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Or call it what you want. It's like, what if serious injury would have happened on either side?
Yeah.
Something happened to me, something happened to them. Now, my 8 children are fatherless now.
And so that, again, is the conundrum, the enigma of Cam Newton. All those clips we played together, he grew up in the church. And he understands he has a responsibility to give back, to serve young people. But he's got 8 kids. And he don't have a wife. And he's got multiple baby mamas. And Cam is still trying to figure things out. He's making progress here. He took a lot of responsibility. And everybody, this is the grace that I'm offering him. Many of you all, I think, want to provide too much grace and just overlook everything because he's rich and he said, oh, and he's giving back and he's doing this. And so let's just overlook everything. That's not what I'm going to do. It's not what I think is the proper thing to do. If Cam somehow sees this video, I know it comes across, Cam, like I despise you and just think you're the worst thing on the planet. I don't. But I do know what talent, which God gave you in great abundance, and then the world gave you money in great abundance. And all that talent and all that money can blind you and make you unaware of the details. And so I would just ask you, Cam, because I think your heart's in the right place, but I just don't think you understand the details. And so there's a level of sacrifice that's required for leadership, and you want to be a leader. Sacrifice is hard. None of us really want to sacrifice. But those of us that call Jesus Christ our Lord and Savior, we have to sacrifice in a real in a way that hurts, not in a way that's comfortable. And so what I'm talking about is, Cam, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself. If you want to be a leader, and part of Cam's problem with me, I'm sure, is when he was a quarterback, I was very hard on him as a leader. And I was like, Cam, the way you're dressing, it does not work for the leadership position. The hats and the bonnets and all the stuff you're wearing, all the over-the-top dressing, that's not it. That will not work over the long haul as a quarterback and a leader of men in a locker room. You're a wide receiver, a tight end, a defensive end. All of that is appropriate. But if you want to be a leader at the quarterback position, there's some sacrifices you have to make, your own personality and preferences. Now, I'll give you an example, Cam. And my audience gets tired of me hearing and talk about it because it's hard. It is hard. Pushing away from the table from me, putting that fork down, really hard. I'd rather just give in to my personality and be gluttonous. That's my personality. That's what makes me happy. But if I want to be a leader, I got to push away from that table and I got to put the fork down. And so, Cam, the leader that you want to be and the leader that kids need, and I know you won't understand this, but the hair, the hat, the style of dress, all of that matters because it's all a distraction. And you talked about distractions. And so you've been convinced that if you change up your style, that if you don't dress flamboyantly in a way that makes you happy and feels calm, you're selling out. The world is going to tell you that you're selling out and you shouldn't have to do that. And I'm going to be black and this is part of my blackness. It's standing in your way of leadership. There's no humility with it. And leadership is very humble. Service is very humble. And so the person that comes in with the loudest suit and the loudest style of dress and the loudest appearance, there's no humility in that. That's, hey, look at me. And the trash talk and all that. Yeah, that's what we do in 7-on-7. Leaders don't. Now, when you decide to run an organization and you want to stand as a symbol for young men to follow, it's a very humble, it's a very quiet spirit that you must emote. And again, the trash talk is what led you to get out of control. It has to be eliminated. There are sacrifices that you have to make. That's why I'm spending all year talking about sacrifice and its relationship to growth. Growth requires sacrifice. And so many of the things that make us happy, that feed our egos, we have to be willing to sacrifice if we want to serve in the way the Lord would like us to serve, and if we want to have the impact that we want to really have and are capable of. And I know, just like you, there are many kids that, oh, I love Cam, and Cam did this or that for me, and blah, blah, blah. But if you humbled yourself, whatever positive feedback you're getting now, it would multiply by 50 or 100 times. The number of kids you would reach if they look at Cam like, man, Cam's worth $100 million. But look how humbly he presents himself. Look at how he allows the attention to go every place else other than Cam. He's not dressed in a way that makes everybody focus on Cam. He's dressed in a way that he blends in so that they can see these young people that he's cultivating and developing. Just a thought, Cam. I know you think I hate you, and I don't. I just think you've been given a lot, great deal of potential. Had you taken some of my advice while you were in the NFL, you'd probably still be in the NFL. And you would love to still be in the NFL. And part of the advice I'm giving you is in a different way. In a different way, because it wasn't the exact same advice. But I've seen this all before. I grew up with Jeff George, who as a quarterback had just as much talent as you. He couldn't run like you, but that ball came out of his hands better than anybody that's ever played football. And there reached a point where his talent got in the way of some of these other things that would have elongated his career. Jeff George could have had Tom Brady's career if he had just tweaked a few things, presented himself a little bit differently. Great. I'm talking, Jeff George is a great human being. Trust me, as a friend, as a believer, I couldn't have a better friend. But there's some things he could have tweaked that would have allowed him to achieve all the success that he had the talent to achieve in football. Same thing I was trying to communicate to you. As men, we have to be willing to deal with harsh, constructive criticism. If we think someone's coming from an honest place, maybe you think I'm coming from a dishonest place and that's why you're dismissing it, but I'm really not. I would have loved to see you go on to be the greatest quarterback in NFL history. I was all on board early on. Again, you reminded me of John Elway, my favorite NFL player. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.